It feels like President Trump has been trying very hard to improve relations with Russia, and this would be a very clear thing that's going to annoy them.
Well, it will infuriate Vladimir Putin because he's still denying the Kremlin had anything to do with that poisoning in Salisbury. Remember, somebody has died now, not the targets, but the woman whose funeral had only last week.
Caught up in it, yeah.
The British government has made it pretty clear they think it was the Kremlin's state-sponsored assassination attempt, and now they've got... It's a huge boost for Theresa May. Let's face it, she needs some support, doesn't she? With the Americans imposing sanctions, there are already sanctions against Russia on other matters, but this is quite important in the international drive to get support to condemn Russia over this act.
So a huge boost effort, as Andrew was saying, for Theresa May, but a bit of a slap in the face for Trump as well, because this has come sort of at a time, as Kate was saying, we've seen him cozying up to Putin and desperately trying to sort of turn that relationship into something a bit more special.
But I think symbolically...
I think there's a process, isn't there?
It's the principle that counts. And it's, you know, under Trump, the whole global picture is kind of topsy-turvy at the moment. You know, British businesses are among the European businesses now worried they're going to be sanctioned for dealings in Iran now that Trump's government is sanctioning the Iranian government. But at the same time now, they're standing with us on our stance over Russia, which goes in the face of his usual cosy relationship with Putin. So it's quite hard to analyse, I think, these relationships on a traditional kind of who's friends with who and who's foes with who analysis. It's all over
He's rather
the place.
forced into it, though, wasn't he? I mean, Congress said you've got to do this.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's quite...
I think he had, like, a month, and then he extended it to 2 months before he had to do it. And even then, they now have to come up with a reliable reassurance.
Yeah, and of course, this is a president...
And that's a tricky one, as to what that could mean.
And this is a president, of course, who's under investigation over whether or not he knew the Russians tried to interfere with his election victory in the presidency, which, of course, he won unexpectedly. But I think this will also put a bit of pressure now on Jeremy Corbyn, who, almost alone in Europe, refused to say it was the Kremlin what did it. He said, we don't have incontrovertible evidence, but the EU is saying they did. We now see the leader of the free world says they did it.
The Americans are clearly saying they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what the sanctions decision means. They're in no doubt whatsoever.
I mean, Theresa May hasn't been as categorical. Our sort of government position is that it's highly likely it's Russia, and America's gone further.
I mean, I think the issue that Corbyn kind of was vocalising was the process. You know, it was the initial certainty that was expressed, jumping to the conclusion before there was evidence. You know, it seems that over time the evidentiary case against Russia has been building, and now there is a lot more consensus that they were behind this attack. But it is important to follow a process to establish something with certainty before you start implementing things like sanctions, which do have a real impact.